Hi, everybody. We're so happy to have you join us. Everyone who's on the panel is here, so we are going to go ahead and get started. My name is Rachel Schuster. I am part of the admission team here at Prairie. And the purpose of tonight's webinar is to talk about how Prairie works to build up leaders in many different forms across our 3 divisions, as well as celebrate their contributions to our school community. And we also want to have a chance to hear from members of that community, so we'll do that in a little bit. But before we get started, just a few reminders for everybody who's on here. For our attendees, our guests, your camera is off and you are muted, but you do have the opportunity to pose questions via the Q&A button, which you'll see at the bar at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And my colleague Callie is here monitoring those questions. So we'll try to answer as many of those as we can during the event. The webinar is being recorded and we will share it with you after tonight's event is over. I will also, like I said, introduce you to several members of our community, including our faculty and students. And to those panelists, as I introduce you, I will remind you to turn your camera on and your microphone on. Right now, all those things are off. So I will cue you when it's time to do that. Okay, I think that's all the housekeeping. Thanks for bearing with me. And now that we've taken care of that, let's get started. So like I mentioned, we will talk tonight about how leadership is encouraged and highlighted across all 3 divisions. At Prairie, we have a primary school which serves students as young as 3 through 5th grade. Our middle school is 6th through 8th grade, and our upper school is our high school. It's grade 9 through 12. And it's pretty unique that we serve such a wide range of ages, which also means we have quite a spectrum of learning and development. And the fact that learning to be a leader is not always linear, along with that means that we want to talk to people across those 3 divisions. So I'd like to bring on some faculty members to give you a chance to hear about their experiences. The first person I'd like to ask to turn their mic and camera on is Marcia Wilkes. Hi, Marcia.
Hi, welcome.
Can you tell us a little bit about your role at Prairie?
Absolutely. I've been at Prairie this is the start or I'm in my 23rd year here, and I am currently teaching 2nd grade. And I have also had experience with teaching 4th grade for 18 of those years.
Very cool. Thanks for being here. The next person I'll invite to turn on their camera and mic is Tamika Tate. Hi, Tamika.
Hi, everyone. How's it going?
Hey, can you tell us a little bit about what you do here?
Sure. I am the 7th and 8th grade English teacher here at Prairie. I've been here for 2 years now. It's my 2nd year here, so I'm really excited to be here still. But yeah, I've been teaching for 10 wonderful years now, and I brought over my kids now. So I have my son is actually a freshman here at Prairie, and I also have a 7th grade daughter here.
Awesome. We're glad you're here too.
Thank you.
And last but not least, I will introduce Shannon Schaefer. Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
Shannon, can you tell us a little bit about your roles on campus?
Sure. I currently teach 9th grade biology and 12th grade anatomy. I've also done some teaching in the middle school. This is my 21st year at Prairie, and I have been advising our high school service club. So we service the community both in and out of Prairie for the past 15 years.
Awesome. So a lot of experience teaching inside and within and outside of Prairie, represented with the 3 of you here. So I want to give you guys a chance to interact and talk about some of the questions I'm going to pose, but I will just throw the first one out there. Leadership can be kind of a buzzword, I think, sometimes. As adults, I think we know what it looks like to lead in our communities, at work, in our families, but how do you as teachers approach leadership with your students? Let's start with you, Marcia. Why don't you give us a few examples?
Yeah, in the primary school, we were really excited that at the beginning of the year, we made an update to our character education curriculum to include Frenzy, which is a new curriculum for both primary and middle school students. And we were able to be part of the professional development to learn some tips and tricks on how to engage our students in the curriculum. And in regards to leadership, the part of the curriculum that's really helpful for our kids is the social and emotional learning, and specifically the responsible decision-making and building relationships. And then the kids really get excited about our monthly community meetings. And that is really where we share what we've learned about Frenzy within our classroom, but we also share during our community meeting. So each month, students from a specific grade level get to be the leaders of our meeting, being the MC, sharing about our Frenzy catchphrase for the month. We have some very fun catchphrases. We've had be kind all the time, watch my words. Currently, we're focusing on friends forgive. And so that's always included in our community meetings every month, which I think is really unique to Prairie, considering 3- and 4-year-olds help to be part of that meeting as well. And we look forward to that every month. Kids bring a big calendar and talk about the announcements and the things that are happening within our primary school. And I know that with the Frenzy curriculum and our professional development, Tamika can speak a little bit about what the middle school is doing.
Yeah, and what's so great about morning meeting is it's something that continues throughout middle school as well. And we actually pick it up a little bit. We actually meet every other day instead of just monthly for the morning meetings, which is a great opportunity for the kids to see each other and for the grades to collaborate. So both 7th grade and 8th grade come to morning meeting together. And I think what's sometimes unique about middle school is, sometimes they feel like they're the middle child of the school. And, they're not quite in upper school yet, but they sort of outgrown the training wheels of elementary. So they're really learning to do things independently while at the same time try to figure out where their voice fits in and how they can stand out as a leader. And that's where morning meeting comes into play. Students really take the opportunity to stand before their peers and discuss and celebrate things that can range from basketball tournaments over the weekend or soccer tournaments that the kids get really excited about. It could be students announcing that they published an album on Spotify, which is a true story. And I'm very jealous because I'm not that talented, but it's just a great way for everyone to come together as a community and really just celebrate each other. There's no pressure, and students really just take on those leadership roles. And in addition to celebrations, students also take the initiative to create different types of clubs. So a new one this year for middle school is Dungeons and Dragons, which is a very popular one. And they meet during lunch and recess together, and different student leaders throughout that sort of guide that throughout that lunch period and that recess. We also have, depending on different student interests, they get to create different clubs that they can think of. Like, the ideas are truly just limitless. And which really helps to foster those leadership skills here at Prairie. And I think, speaking of clubs, I think, Shannon, don't you have a service club here, correct?
Yeah, we do service club, and a lot of students kind of fulfill their service hour requirement that we have through that. We do events within the school, we do events outside of the school, with other students, with adults in the community. There's a lot of opportunity for the students to engage and then create their own community service project. So even if it's not an idea of the 5 or 6 students that are in charge of service club, other students just in our community can say, hey, I really want to help out, cops and kids this year, or I would like to help raise money for disaster relief or something like that. We can always take on new projects and roles, so they can define themselves as leaders when they really find an interest in something. And it's not just service club, it's multicultural club. So we have a day where all of our students that are interested can represent a country, and it can be about the food, it can be about the culture, it can be about what they wear. holidays, traditions, etc. And all of our students from primary school through high school have the opportunity to visit all of those countries that are represented. And then just like in the middle school, if we have students that have interest in a club that doesn't exist, they can form their own. So we have things from like GSA Alliance to Bad Movie Club to Math Club. There's a Murder Mystery Club. So kids really can make their interests be a part of our day. And I think sometimes we forget that some of our strongest leaders are not the kids that are always the loudest and standing up in front of the crowd. Sometimes our leaders start as role models and kind of drivers of their own learning and what they want to accomplish. We really help to develop advocates, both in and out of the classroom. So a leader looks like a lot of different things, I think, not just in the high school, but that's where I see it.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that, Shannon, because before we all got together, that's something that some of you were telling the admission team, was that you've seen a lot of kids who maybe lead, but in a non-traditional sort of way. I want to throw that to Marcia or Tamika, whoever wants to take it. Maybe talk a little bit about how you've seen kids step up and lead, maybe in ways you weren't expecting.
Well, yeah, and in service learning, when I heard Shannon talk about service learning, it's hard to believe that our youngest students start collecting items. And yes, it's very adult driven at first, and then the model leads into more decision making in the middle school. I'm really excited to hear that hopefully next year we've taken a break from our student council, which I think is really unique to our primary school. And we've taken a break from that because of COVID. So currently our service learning project is Bethany Apartments, and we've been collecting things for that here and we're seeing. But in the past, we have a student council, and what we do is we have kids from each grade level that come together, and we have 2 faculty, primary school faculty teachers that help lead that. And then they help to make some decisions about who we're going to help next and what project we can do. In the past, the kids have decided to do things for tiny homes. They did some art for veterans. We've done some collections for Faith, Hope, and Love, and made some duffel bags for kids. So we're really looking forward to having student council come back, because it helps to give our youngest kids a voice in making some decisions.
Tamika, I want to jump a little bit to something else I know that we wanted to have you talk about, and that is student-led conferences. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Another way that students demonstrate leadership at the middle school level that is unique to Prairie, I feel like, is through our student-led conferences. Many schools typically have the teacher taking the lead about what the students are learning or what they're doing well. And here at Prairie, we actually have students really take an active role in learning and sitting in the driver's seat, because they sit their parents down and they sit right across from them, and they have their little portfolio made, and they have all their artifacts already in there to explain all their academic classes, things that they are doing well, things that they need to improve on, and just really taking the initiative to say, hey, these are the things that I need support in, and these are the things that are going really well for me. So it's just a great way for students to demonstrate leadership at the middle school level.
Definitely something that's unique. I had never heard of that anywhere before. And we might get to hear about that a little bit later when we bring on some of our student leaders. So thanks for queuing that up. Thank you, ladies, for talking to us about what leadership looks like inside the classroom. It's awesome to get your perspective.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So inside the classroom, we've heard a little bit about that. Now we want to talk a little bit about how leadership skills develop outside the classroom here at Prairie. And to help us do that, first, I'd like to invite Jersey Eichhorst to join us on screen. Hey, Jersey.
Hey, how you doing, Rachel?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
Hey, can you give us a little bit of a some details about what your role is here?
Yeah, this is my third year here at Prairie, and I'm an athletics assistant. So I help out the athletic director and I help out the strength coach. And I'm also an assistant basketball coach for the boys team.
Okay. So at Prairie, some people might know it as extracurriculars. We call them co-curriculars, and that encompasses athletics, performing arts, a number of other things. I'm not even going to try to list all of them. But we see those as parallel to the academic experience, which our three teachers just talked about. Since you are somebody who works with students, sort of outside the traditional school day, can you talk a little bit about leadership and what that looks like from an athletic perspective?
Yeah, being a leader in athletics, I mean, kids get harped on like to be leaders in the classroom, get good grades and all this stuff. But then it doesn't stop being a leader there when you leave the classroom, especially if you're an athlete or you're in the musical or whatever. As a coach, I really try to like teach kids how to be leaders by setting an example myself, and also pushing them in ways that they might not get pushed in the classroom, because there's adversities that hit in sports instantaneously, and you just have to react to it and be a leader, pick your teammates up if you see them getting down. But athletics, there's numerous ways to find out if you're a leader or not. And one great thing about Prairie is that we have the no cut program with our sports. So with our no cut program, like let's say I want to try out soccer, I've never played before. I might be a little bit nervous about it because I've never played, and I might think, oh, I'm just going to get cut and I won't be on the team. But we're super welcoming to people of all experience levels, and we want everybody to get a fair shake at it. You can come out and be on the team with a bunch of awesome teammates, your classmates, your friends, whoever, and have a great time. You can learn from the coaches, whether you're on varsity or JV, and all the coaches' goals are to build good people, and you can get good grades and you can be successful on the field. But when all that stuff is gone and all the spotlight's not on you, are you still a good person? And that's one thing that we really try to reinforce in our kids, is to be a good person all the time, whether lights are on you or not.
And Jersey, I know that we're talking about kids who are participating on the teams, but you also have kids who take leadership roles in other ways during the school year and in the summer. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you don't always have to be an athlete to be a leader. We've had managers my years on the basketball staff, and those managers are just as much leaders as the players are. They come out there, they set the example, they come out, they work hard every day, come to practices. They're super accountable, super committed. And you can do that for any sport you want, whatever sport you want to do. Just ask the coach, and you can be a manager, be around the team, be around friends, learn from coaches. And also from a personal experience in our summer basketball camps, we love to push our players to be even more leaders by leading camps. Like we might have a basketball drill and we have a couple of our kids who all these kids look up to because they're varsity athletes, leading the drills and teaching kids and like setting an example and trying to pave the way for the next generation of athletes.
Yeah, that's something that's really cool. And I know I mentioned at the beginning, we're so lucky to have this huge range of kids, 3 to 18 that we teach, and basketball's another way, or other sports too. Camps and clinics and things like that are a way for those kids to interact, and for the older kids to lead the younger kids. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for your perspective, Jersey. It's really cool to hear.
Thank you.
Another faculty member who I want to bring on and talk a little bit about co-curricular leadership is Jamie Brevik. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Rachel. Thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, yeah. I know you're just coming from rehearsal, so we're getting you fresh out of working with some of our leaders.
Yeah, our rehearsal is still going. I just stepped out for a second to talk to everyone. But yeah, we've got just an incredible amount of opportunities for our musicians and artists and actors, and the thing that Rachel just mentioned is we are gearing up for our upper school musical, which is Chicago. which we're actually opening this coming Thursday, week from tonight. So it's a great example of kind of a combination of all the different things that the kids can get involved in our both our middle school and our upper school musical. It's really student driven. So students are acting, of course, on stage. They are performing in the pit orchestra, which is what I'm directing. They are working the sound booth. They are running the lights. They are running props. They are building the set. And all of those things are run by students, which is incredible. It's not, I don't think it's typical of most places. So, it's a really amazing offering that we have. Some of the other co-curricular things that we have for music and arts, we have jazz, which runs from middle school through high school, 6th graders all the way through 12th graders. We have a jazz day where we bring in guest artists. We have a visiting artist series where we bring in professional musicians and artists from outside of our community to work with our kids. We have an electronic music club, which is a group of students in middle school and high school that are into making electronic music, and they meet during their lunch hour and they come in. We have a visiting artist this year that's working with them, Jordan Lee, who's working with them on programming beats and making electronic music, which is really cool. And we're doing that because we had a group of kids that were interested in it. So we literally made that this year. We've never had that before this year. So all these different opportunities are meant to just allow students to find who they are, find a place for themselves, where they fit in. It's just a very wide and diverse array of offerings that we give to them. So,
Jamie, something I forgot to ask you, but I'm sure people might have been able to gather from what you're saying. Can you tell us what your roles are here?
Of course, yeah. I teach instrumental music in 5th through 12th, so middle school and upper school. I also teach AP music theory in high school, which is a college level music course. I also teach all of the jazz groups, which are co-curricular. So currently we have a middle school jazz band, which is 6, 7, 8, and then 2 upper school jazz combos. So that all of those things are co-curricular, though, as mentioned. So I teach, but 5th through 12th band, AP music theory, jazz, all of those things. Yep.
One other thing I want to have you talk a little bit about, common to what you and Jersey have talked about with co-curriculars, and then earlier when we had your fellow teachers on, is we're hearing a lot about students' interests driving their leadership. What is it about when a student gets to do something that they're really interested in, like you mentioned electronic music, that brings out the leader in them?
I think putting them in that position to have some ownership in it. A great example of that is there's a particular 8th grade student who he DJs. Like, he's got his own DJ equipment that he's been doing on his own at home. Nothing to do with school. Of course, we found out that he was into this, and he gets hired to DJ at school events. Like Brody, who's the 8th grader, I think the winter carnival just happened like last week or the week before, and I was actually looking for him to talk to him, and someone was like, oh no, he's DJing over in the Jack right now. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So there's just things like that. In previous years, we've had students who are musicians. Again, that's my area, so I'm familiar with that more. But students who are musicians, we had a rock band, where it was a group of kids that were just meeting during their lunch hour to just play for fun. But once we discovered that, we gave them a platform. So we would let them perform at different events throughout the school. And this is outside of just our typical band concert, choir concert series. But just once those kids find what their thing is, like giving them opportunities to do that thing and do it in like a real and tangible way, not just like something in a classroom, like letting them do a gig, So I think that's very powerful, and it gives them that, it's almost sort of like real world experience in something that they're passionate about.
Definitely. And it seems like when other kids see their friends doing things that they enjoy, it excites them to do what they want to do and lead in that way.
Exactly.
So that's really cool. Thanks for being here, Jamie. We'll let you get back to rehearsal.
I'm going to run back to the stage. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah. So we have heard from faculty, we've heard from adults, but we are talking about the student leaders. So we want to hear from a few of them. The first student I want to introduce you to is Kieran, and I will ask her to turn on her mic and video. Hi, Kieran.
Hi,
How you doing?
good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
So you've been here like your whole life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about what being a leader is to you? We've heard what your teachers have to say, but for you, someone who's been here, what does it mean to be a leader at Prairie, and how have you been given opportunities to do that?
I guess I would say being a leader at Prairie is, like the teacher said, like doing what you would like to do. You don't have to be like student government, and you don't have to be talking in front of a bunch of people all the time. It's kind of like finding your own thing, like your own kind of niche of what you want to do, and kind of excelling in that. Yeah, so opportunities I've been given as a leader is I've been asked, to like speak at certain things. Like I got to speak in front of a women leadership conference, and that kind of helped me kind of, grow and become a better public speaker. Because I wasn't always comfortable speaking in public in front of a lot of people. It took me like a long time. I went through my public speaking class. It all kind of helped me grow to speak in public. Also, I play soccer, so on the soccer field, being like a freshman and going into the sport with all these upperclassmen, they kind of modeled what a leader should kind of look like on the soccer field and how you should be. And that kind of taught me a lot about how I need to use my skills to become a leader and kind of like find my own way to become a leader.
Yeah, and something else I know you're involved in, and I'd love to have you explain it a little bit, is Leadership Society. Can you talk about what that is and how you lead students who might want to come to Prairie through that?
Yeah, so Leadership Society is a club at Prairie that focuses on the like admissions and outreach piece. We help with recruiting other families to come. So like giving tours to prospective families and taking them around the school. We also do shadow days for new incoming students, and we have them shadow us for a day to see what a day in the life of Prairie looks like. And we also help with open houses and speaking on panels, and really just trying to like make that connection to new students to what Prairie really looks like.
And now, Kieran, you're a senior this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have plans for where you're going to go next year?
Yeah, I just committed to Indiana University.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and being a leader on this panel. It's been awesome to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you.
The next student I want to invite to join us is Aurelius. Aurelius, can you turn on your camera and mic?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for being here.
No problem.
So we just talked to Kieran, who has been at Prairie her whole life, but this is your first year here. Is that right?
Yeah, ever since October.
Oh, okay. And what do you remember when you first came to visit here?
Yeah.
What do you remember most about it?
Oh, just when my the person I was shadowing, MJ, who was a friend before I came here, he was showing me around and just making me talk to new people and meeting new people. And I thought that was really nice, and I really liked it.
And it sounds like you might have had the opportunity to do that since you've been here. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. One of my basketball teammates was shadowing here, and I took him around, and I think he actually liked it.
That's good.
Talking about how some of the things were fun.
That's awesome.
I really liked it.
So can you think of a time since you've been at Prairie when you were given an opportunity to be a leader?
Yeah, two things actually. One, when I was actually at basketball practice here, one of my teammates wasn't doing his best, so I pushed him to do better, telling him that you got this, and that you have a big opportunity to get really, really good.
And you said you had another one. What's your other example?
When I'm in the classroom, I usually ask people if they need help, and a leader doesn't always ask people if they want help. They ask for help too. And if you are to ask for help, it could help you understand something, and then you could help somebody that doesn't understand it.
And hey, Aurelius, I forgot to ask you, what grade are you in?
I'm in 5th grade.
5th grade. So I heard that you told a story about something with a country project when you visited and how that inspired you. Can you tell that story?
Yeah, so when the very first day I came here, I was in social studies with my teacher, Miss Hanky Miller, and she gave me a notebook and she told me about it, my country project. And what I named it was The Land of Fade. I just liked the name. And then I kept on working and working and working to get to the point where I was at the same level as my other classmates. And I think that inspired them to work a little more and more hard.
So like you were saying, a leader who asks for help and a leader who works hard sets an example, right?
Yep.
That's awesome. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure everybody loved to hear from you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. We'll see you later.
Yep.
So something that all of the adults talked about, and now we've seen just 2 of our students exemplify, is a focus on developing honor, kindness, respect, integrity, leading like Aurelius was talking about by example. And we're just grateful that we had them on here and you got to see it for yourself. So switching gears a little bit, we know that a lot of people who are attending tonight are considering whether Prairie is the place for their family. So I would like to invite my colleague, Molly Lofquist-Johnson, who is our Senior Director of Admission. Hi, Molly.
Hi there.
Can you talk a little bit about our application process for those who are interested?
Yeah, so we have a whole team of people here at Prairie who can work with your family and your children as you consider whether or not Prairie is the right place for your family. There's the traditional paperwork with applications and teacher references, but our biggest recommendation all of the time is to actually come on campus for a tour. And there's quite a few of us that could show you around, but the point there is for you to come and be able to see a classroom in session and be able to experience what leadership might look like in a preschool classroom or an 8th grade classroom or high school, because it does kind of go all the way through each of those divisions. So if there is a time that you might want to come for a tour, you could always give us a call or shoot us an email for a personal tour. We do have some scheduled opportunities to visit coming up here at Prairie. In April, the 20th, the 21st, and 22nd, if I'm remembering my days right, we have middle school visit days, so specifically time available for kids who are in middle school to come and shadow one of those Leadership Society kids that you met a few minutes back. And then in May, we're doing an all-school open house on Sunday, May 14th, for families to come in anytime between 12 and 2, again, to just kind of get a sense of what the program looks like, meet some of our teachers, meet some of our kids, and be able to speak directly to your personal individual questions. If you have an interest in preschool and kindergarten, we have kind of what we call Discovery Day coming up also in April and in May. And these are kind of the readiness assessments and observations for little ones who might be applying to the program. So we are here for you. If you have questions or need more information, don't hesitate to reach out and we can put you in contact with whoever the right fit might be, and we'll work together to see if Prairie is the right place for you.
That is a lot of information, but that is a link. That screen that we were just showing, that's a link that we can send out with the recording from tonight, right?
Correct.
Okay,
And
Cool.
it's always on the website. We're always constantly updating the information. So as we add new events or tweak the events that we have, changing times or kind of the focus of things, the website is a key and critical place for you.
And I don't know if people can see the chat popping up on the side, but Aurelius says he highly recommends visiting. So another endorsement for visiting at Prairie. Thank you. Thanks, Molly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So it looks like we're coming to the end of our time together. I want to thank the panelists for joining us tonight and offering their perspectives and their endorsements. For those of you attending, if we did not have time to answer a question that you asked live, you can always reach out to the admission team. Like Molly said, we are here to help you and we will answer as many questions as we can. If this conversation has piqued your interest and you're curious to learn more about Prairie as an option for your family, like Molly said, next steps would involve coming to campus for a tour and or applying online, and Molly and her team can also help you with that. We'll send you the link to the opportunities to visit page along with a recording of this session. And I think that is about it. So thanks again for joining us and have a good night.